Good day, Doctor. I am Tan Yong Hoa from L1T1 Group 11. Members together with me today are Chan Yong Ping, Chong Ji Lik, Laila Sophia binti Jafri, Nur Saswani binti Muhammad Samsudin, and Ng Kok Siang. The title of our presentation is The Effect of Pandemic COVID-19 on Economic Effect on Unemployment in Singapore. Let's get started with the introduction. Singapore was an undeveloped country with GDP per capita less than $320 million and 3 million people getting unemployed in the 1960s. During the colonial period, Singapore's main focus was on entrepot trade and then they moved over to labor-intensive industry. After years, Singapore started to focus on developing its human resources and infrastructure. Today, the economy in Singapore is free market-oriented and their GDP per capita is among the highest in the world. However, Singapore's economic growth seems to have collapsed due to the outbreak of COVID-19, which has a huge impact on the unemployment rate.
Economic activities in Singapore.
First, the economic activity in Singapore is manufacturing sector. This sector contribute between 20% and 25% to Singapore annual GDP in 2020, compared with the third quarter of 2017, increased 35% because the cluster benefited from high demand in electronic and precision engineering, so creating more job opportunity in the manufacturing sector. Next, the economic activity in Singapore is financial service industry. This sector grew by about 6% in the first half of the 2021 compared with the 2020. The economic contributed expanding by 5.1% because Singapore was a pro-business environment and political stability, so can be stable growth. Therefore, created more job opportunity in the financial service industry. Moreover, the economic activity in Singapore is tourism industry because this sector contribute 4% to Singapore annual GDP in 2019 before COVID-19 outbreak and absorb capital, businesses, and talent to contribute to their economic growth. For example, Singapore Tourism Board creates long-term strategic planning, building relationship with partners, and driving innovation. Lastly, the economic activity in Singapore is maritime industry because this sector contribute 7% to Singapore annual GDP in 2019 before COVID-19 outbreak. For example, the Port of Singapore attract 130,000 vessels call on average in 2019. Therefore, created more job opportunities in the maritime industry.
Impact of COVID-19 on the economic growth which lead to unemployment. After the outbreak of COVID-19, Singapore economy recorded its worst full-year recession rate is 5.4% since independence. During 2020, GDP growth has a massive drop of about negative 13.3% in the second quarter, negative 5.8% in the third quarter, and negative 2.4% in the fourth quarter compared to 2019. This is because of the travel ban and lockdown, which affected the international travel, our oriented sectors, retail and food services sectors, and domestically oriented sectors. Many employees also get unemployed and lose their job because of that. However, demand for labor start to increase for each sector when Singapore economy start to slightly recover and expanded by 4 to 6% in 2021 when more and more sectors start to reopen. In short, the economic growth of Singapore is the worst in 2020, but slowly recover in 2021 from time to time and should be able back on track during 2022 when more and more employees are getting back to their field of job.
Impact of COVID-19 on the overall unemployment. Singapore unemployment has increased. Unemployment rate in the year 2019 is 3.1% and rose up about 2.09% to 5.19% in the year 2020. Overall unemployment rate in the month of June is 2.8%. After serious COVID-19 outbreak, the overall employment rate increased 0.6% in the month of August, and September reached 3.5% compared to 3.4% in August 2020. Next, for the resident category, unemployment rate rose up from 3.9% in June to 4.8% in September 2020. And for the category citizen, rose up from 4% in June to 4.9% in September 2020. The number of layoffs at the third quarter 2020 is estimated at 9,100 people, more than 8,130 people for the second quarter.
The relation between impact of COVID-19 unemployment rate and inflation rate.
According to the macroeconomics showing the relationship between inflation and unemployment is an inverse or negative relationship, and this is also known as Phillips curve. Based on the Statista website showing the inflation rate and unemployment rate and proving that they are negative relationship. This all economic issue can solve by the government policy. Unfortunately, Singapore government using the policy which is increase minimum wages as well as the local qualifying salary of at least 1,400 Singapore dollar. This will occur an event called wage push inflation. However, increasing the minimum wage can improve the consumption power. Meanwhile, it also increases the pressure of the firm to continue their business. The firm will increase the selling price in the market and cause the inflation rate become higher, and some firms who cannot afford the wage are forced to fire the worker. In the long term, stagflation will occur, same as in the time of 1970.
Impact of COVID-19 to unemployment in the economy sectors. Singapore divides types of affected economy sectors category, which is severely affected, significantly affected, and moderately affected. Moderately affected divides into two sections, which is outward oriented and domestically oriented. Among all the sectors, the most affected sectors is tourism. The total income of tourism in the first quarter of 2019 is 6.5 billion Singapore dollar, dropped to 4.8 billion Singapore dollar in the first quarter of 2020. The major cause is due to the restriction of entry and exit between countries. As a result, the unemployment rate in tourism sector increased. As an example, Singapore Airlines terminated 4,300 of its employees' contract in 2020. Those who contributed in the company decreased from 16,716 in 2019 to 12,460 employees in 2020.
Economic policies implementation to facing unemployment issues.
Singapore is a country with a small affluent economy, rated 3 to 4 times the original GDP. In 2019, it will decline 0.7% from 3.4% in 2018, while in 2020, MTI predicted Singapore GDP will fall in the range of 0.5% to 2.5%. The government has increased national spending to help their citizens by providing loan support for business such as SME in financing guarantee scheme. Besides that, temporary bridging loan program has been upgraded in the Resilience and Unity Budget 2020. This is government incentive in taking most of the loan risk given to companies by participating financial institutions. Government also provide universal cash payments and retail voucher and additional funding from various social support agencies, while ST United Jobs and ST United Traineeship was scheme for Singaporeans who have been laid off or forced to lay off their workers during this pandemic, which subsidies are also given to every eligible local worker under the Employment Growth Incentive. In Singapore, government also provides tax relief for every single household and individual. Furthermore, self-employed relief scheme and social care payment for the self-employment and low-income workers.
Conclusion. Government Financial Department represent the role of leader to offer some package policy to decrease unemployment. In specific sector, managers should maintain worker salary to reduce their cost of living. The resilient budget to support household and workers stay employed and support local manufacturing. In sector-specific measure, enhance aviation support package to decrease costs incurred by airlines, land operator, and cargo business in Changi Airport. Moreover, 90 million Singapore dollar to tourism industry, use travel grants to train the industry professional, and tourism credit to Singaporeans to promote local consumption. Next, a special relief fund of 300 Singapore dollar per month given to taxi driver and car lesson fee waived for 6 months. Private bus owners have 1 year road tax rebate and 6 month parking fee rebate. Lastly, in maritime, the ship and ferry given 50% port dues. Concession in art and culture provide 55 million Singapore dollar to secure employment and retain capacity.
That's all. Thanks for your listening.